Hey everyone, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Although I am a licensed clinician, I'm also just a person. I love to be able to be in my real life and speak from that point. And that's where this podcast is coming from. So enjoy.
Searching for truth, looking for answers. There must be a way to another day.
Hey guys, it's Aaliyah here.
And Joe again.
Welcome back to the podcast. I don't know. For some reason, I felt I thought that was a really good intro, but whatever.
Oh, it sounded good.
Okay. I felt compelled.
It's like you're really into it.
I was into it.
Yeah, you're like feeling the new season.
Yeah.
Everything's good. I mean, the first show, I think it went well. It was a good comeback show. I felt good about it.
Why do you always feel the need to recap? It's like you always want to recap everything and like talk about when like that's something we can just do between us. Like, yeah, okay, it was a good show, right?
Oh, well, no. Why can't we do it right here?
Because we have no one to answer back to us whether it was a good show or not.
Well, maybe somebody listening to this one would be like, oh, they have another show prior to this that was part of the season, and maybe they didn't know that, and I just sparked that in their mind, and they can go check it out maybe.
Your thought process is
I think
so
super deep,
sometimes.
layers and layers and layers.
So interesting. Oh, gosh. So naturally, about 5 minutes before this podcast, we were looking into topics because that is how we prepare. And, you know, like I'm scrolling, blah, blah, and everything just like pops up such as vaccines.
Same old
COVID
shit.
and Afghanistan. Those actually are like the main things right now. Vaccine, COVID, Afghanistan. And then I'm like, what do we talk about? Blah, blah, blah. The businesses, you know, all these places requiring the vaccine mandate now because blah. And then Joe was like, you were like, how about we just like, I don't know, like talk about something like positive today and just focus solely on that, right?
But I was more like thinking like, all right, what's something positive that obviously there's a lot of shit going on in the world. But, like, there's good intention out there. So maybe just focus in on what the good intention is, even if it's doing the wrong thing. But it's like people, I think, in general, have good intentions and they mean well. They're trying to help others for the most part. But obviously not everybody thinks all the way through, like I was saying before, all these layers and layers and detail and repercussions and stuff like that. They focus in on one thing and they think that they're helping that cause, and maybe they are, maybe they're not, I don't know. And but it's what I want to focus in on is what they think, their perceived thoughts on it, and the intention that they're probably meaning. Anyways, that could go into all kinds of different things, layers.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm sitting here and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it could be thinking...
Like, think of, like, I don't know, whatever group that you can think of that's like, causing harm right now. Like these people that are, the cancel culture people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, who are these people? People that are online, social media, they're saying, like, oh, so-and-so needs to be shut down because he doesn't care about black people or whatever the fuck it is, right?
Because he wrote a book back in 1940.
Right. Sounds to me like maybe these people, some of them, not all of them, but some of them might have had maybe bullying issues when they were kids. Maybe they were like nerds or whatever. Now they have this power they feel that they need to utilize. But in their minds, it's like, I'm making the world better so that nobody has to go through anything that I went through when you know what I'm saying?
Or maybe that's not the case.
Or maybe not. But I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to look at like the positive things in this. So in that, let's just take this fictional person, and in that person's mind, they may be thinking like, all right, I need to change this world. And then they find these groups online and they're like, oh, they think like I think. Okay, so let's go out there and cancel all these people that did dumb shit fucking 20 years ago or whatever, right? I don't agree with the way it, it goes about most of the time, but in their minds, it's like, hey, I'm changing the world. I'm getting rid of this bad person.
Well, that's like anything. That's like the KKK, right? I mean, they have a whole different perspective as well, right? So in their mind,
right?
They're not doing anything wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And if we could figure out what that, I mean, not like we're going to change the world in this one podcast here, but if people in general could take the time to kind of understand where these people are coming from originally, like where the source of this is, and usually as a therapist, you would know, like it comes from something like how you were raised or something that was like embedded in your local culture or something, your family or something that you know what I'm saying? Like people don't just like want to be KKK members just out of nowhere. Like,
but we've talked about this before in terms of culture and in terms of your environment. I do want to go back for a second.
Yeah, sorry, I went off on a
because I want to change something that I said just to define it more in terms of what I said and process it more. So what I said was individuals who are part of the KKK don't think that they're doing anything wrong. They're just living their life, going about their ways. I want to be clear because, even in my, and this may be a difficult thing for some people to truly understand, but I don't really say the words right or wrong. I don't like to use those words right or wrong. I don't like to use those words with my people who I work with. I don't like to use those words just even in my life. I don't like to. Now, I like to use the words healthy versus unhealthy because, to be honest, you can go on the internet right now and type in healthy traits versus unhealthy traits and get a whole list. And it's like, this is unhealthy, this is healthy, right? This is what it looks like. But right or wrong, I mean, shit,
that's all
we could be in a right. That's right. So that's why I don't like using right or wrong. So I do apologize for using it in that way. I didn't mean to. They're living their lives just based on what they know, right. And for them, that's they're living in a healthy world for them, right? In terms of their perspective of what they see to believe is,
And I would say KKK is like an extreme example.
Yeah.
But there's other microcosms of that as well, like somebody that grew up in a house that, like, I don't know, maybe their father got, I don't know, I'm just like making shit up here. Like, maybe he was like overly, he grew up in like the 50s or something like that. And he grew up in an area where there was a lot of white people that like were racist towards him. So then he teaches his kids, you watch out for that white guy. He's going to fucking, really try and get at you. And maybe culture has changed a little bit, but he has taught this kid and in this world that this child has grown up in that like white man is the worst person in the world. And he's going to like break you down and try and, not let you succeed or whatever it is. Right. And then that kid grows up in this world and that's all it knows, but what I'm saying is like maybe I always try to give people or show people a little compassion and because I never understand, I will never know where anybody is coming from ever really until like I really get to know. And there's a small group of people that I really, really know, like family members, Aaliyah, and some really close friends. And beyond that, if I meet you wherever, I don't really know what you've been through as like a kid, how you grew up, all this other stuff. And all that stuff weighs in when somebody is doing something that maybe you dislike or whatever. You have to understand why they're doing it. Where did they come from? How are they raised, right? So I don't know if this is this isn't, I guess it's kind of positive, but it's like, it's more of about like a communication of like understanding.
Yeah, well, you went into
taking the time,
You went into that. Yeah. So what I've been trying to do while I've been sitting here is I've been trying to think how to transition and bring in this positive thinking thing that I was talking about into this because we're in two, and not that they're not connected.
I get it.
They are connected, but at the same time, we're now getting into a conversation about culture, about environment, about how people were raised.
Once again, this is off the top of the head here. We're just like kind of going here, and I kind of wanted to touch on some of this stuff. I mean, these are things I think a lot of people don't think about when they see somebody on social media, shutting somebody down for whatever speech or whatever. Like, I don't agree with it because I think everybody, whether I disagree with it or not, should be able to just speak whatever they want. Like, why do we have to shut them down, right? But with that being said, I can also see these people and I understand why they're doing it. Not meaning that I agree with it. I just understand it. And I would like to talk to some of these people actually and really understand, like,
it's really interesting that this is coming out of your mouth because there's some things that, like, I guess come up in our regular lives that, like, you'll say something and then I'll counteract what you said and I'll be like, well, yeah, but I still have empathy for them. Like, I still, like, can see it from their eyes. And it's like, but what you said doesn't go into that. And so I'm like, wait, hold on. Now I'm confused because sometimes you literally sound like you like you don't even really like put yourself in someone. Yeah. But then I know that sometimes you do. So I'm confused.
This is a great point because what that shows is I'm just human and I say these things and I'm constantly trying to be this person, right? Not to say like these are things that I've like learned and developed over the years and I've kind of enforced them in my life, but it's not because I guess of the way that I grew up, it's not a natural tendency to do that, right? So I'm constantly training myself to be more empathetic and compassionate towards people. So maybe that's why I want to talk about it. Maybe, I don't know. But nobody is perfect and everybody's going to make mistakes. And nobody should be upset about admitting that like, oh, I was wrong on that or whatever. I mean, you always tell me that I don't say that. I actually believe that I do.
No, you
admit
don't.
that I'm wrong.
No, you don't take. No,
I do all the time.
You do not admit that you're wrong.
We already went through this before, and I ripped out like at least like 3 different ones.
I actually know for a fact that I say, you know what, you're right, way more than you do.
Yeah, because I keep drilling you. Because I keep
there's something that's inside of you that's like, ugh, it's like you just can't say it.
That's crazy. I think
it's not crazy.
I don't think you're actually thinking of like.
I am thinking.
No,
there are moments where you actually have been like, okay, you're right. But then there are other things where like, if you're just so fixated on it and you strongly believe that no matter if the fact is there, you're just like,
Well, let's take an example. Give me an example.
Oh, I can't think of an exact example.
Exactly.
Because Joe, it happens so many times.
If it happens so often, then you should be able to pull it right off the top of your head right now.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, you think about it. But so okay, I just wanted to touch on that.
So what did you really want to touch? So what exactly was the?
Just communicating to the world that like sometimes somebody may be saying something that you dislike or doing something that you dislike or don't agree with or whatever. But that doesn't mean that those people have bad intentions. Like, it just means that either they grew up a certain way and they only know what they know, or, maybe sometimes they have bad intentions, for sure. Sometimes people do.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that there are certain cases, in certain, like, specific.
But I mean, I'd say the majority
people would have bad intentions, but
the majority of people do not. They're just like, they know what they know, and then they're putting it out there what they know. Same thing with me. I only know what I know. I mean, nobody fucking knows everything,
Fauci, good intentions, bad intentions.
Ah.
And I only bring that up just because so many people think both of those things that I have no, but that's like something to debate.
This is my opinion.
Bad intention, good intention. I have no idea.
Fauci's somebody that's proven that he has personally funded these organizations that created these vaccinations.
Yeah, I actually want to
So,
be
like-
clear, just to side note this, that was actually proven. Like,
Yeah.
because we even watched there was like a whole, what is that, a Senate thing or whatever? Oh, because he was on,
It was with
not trial,
Rand.
but he was getting,
It was with Rand Paul. I think.
yes,
Rand Paul
exactly.
was
And they had the actual specific documents that actually showed that he funded it, but he kept saying like, I don't know. He kept going around it, saying something. Anyway, we're getting
gain of function. That's what it was.
Yeah,
Gain of function. So basically, he funded labs that were creating viruses that they were making the viruses worse to attack human bodies, just so they could test them and examine them and stuff like that. Right. So he funded labs that did that. That's a fact. So, was he bad intentions? I something like that. You can't.
I don't know.
Kind of got to be like.
I don't. I'm not going to sit here and say yes he was, because I have no idea. First of all, none of us can sit there and really say yes he was or yes he's that, because we're not in his head. We have no idea what life this guy's living. We have no idea what's going on. So I don't even have an answer to that, because I have no idea.
I mean, yeah, he may have had good intentions of like getting into this world of vaccines and stuff like that, and like saving the world or whatever. But the guy's probably got a shitload of money now, I would say. So he definitely benefited from everybody getting sick. So I don't know. We'll just leave that there like that.
So I'm still a little confused as to what you wanted to. So you wanted to touch on the communication and just kind of like where people are coming from. I heard an empathy piece. People have different perspectives. Blah, like that whole entire.
We
thing.
just did it. That was it. I just wanted to put it out there that because maybe some people that are listening to this haven't really thought of it. They just react to say a Trump. Oh, Trump fucking did this and
right.
And they don't actually sit in there and think like, all right, yes, Trump maybe just did something stupid, but why did he do something stupid? Because he doesn't know any better, and he only knows X, Y, and Z, and this is how he was raised, and he was raised in this world where it was just rich money was given to him, blah 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 blah, whatever. I don't really know, but like. Not to say, like, at the end of the day, if you can justify like, the reasons why people do fucking things that you disagree with, like, not to say, like, that it's okay, but just to be, like, understand. Just be like, all right, I get why that guy's doing that. I don't agree with it. Let's keep this going. Instead of people just being like, fuck this guy, he's a fucking idiot, blah, blah, blah. That's so top level, That's so, like, not accomplishing anything. Not understanding anything. That's just like, idiot, check, next, what's next? Oh, this guy's an idiot too, next. Like, you're not actually like digging deep to figure things out.
Right. Okay, so then this is
and
where...
that's it.
This is where then I could transition the whole positive thinking, because that's where that would come in a little bit. Like, so and I'm just using this as an example, but when Trump was first elected, right, and he went into office... I remember many of my sessions with people being there was like lots of emotions, all different types, and there were people who were stressed. Like the anxiety was so high. It was amazing. And
I wonder how those people feel now with Joe. Like they feel like they're in a better position.
I have no idea. But people were stressed, and that was their feeling, and that's perfectly fine. People were scared. That was their feeling. That's perfectly fine. And I could understand also where they were coming from. Okay. Absolutely. So I see both sides. There were people who were very happy about it. I saw their side too, because understand, I work with all different types of, I work with everyone, Mm-hmm. So for me, you're a Republican, Democrat, this, that, you were in a gang, blah, blah. I don't see that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So like, I don't really, But anyway, something that I would also focus on was the whole positive thinking piece, right? Because, okay, so we can sit here and focus on this negative shit and focus on how, you know, you have all these fears and blah, 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 and what if this and da, 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 and what if, da, 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 you know, the world turns out like the Handmaid's Tale. You know, it's like, right, like we can all do that. But there's no point,
really.
right? So then it goes into this whole, you know, positive thinking and just, well, really cognitive restructuring. And then just kind of being able to focus more on like positive beliefs and making them stronger in your life versus negative, right? So then I got into this whole, you know, while I was researching 5 minutes before the podcast, I found this really cool site on just like positive thinking, and it asks some questions that I actually want to ask, because these are actually pretty cool topic questions.
Hold on, it's questions about positivity.
It's
whether you're a positive person or not.
Right.
Or?
So no. So it's not questions about if you're a positive person. It's just questions for a conversation to get started on positive thinking, right? So like, for example, one of the questions which I really like is, do you think that some people are more genetically positive than others? I like that question. I like that question.
So what do you think?
I was gonna like blatantly just be like, bam, no, I don't think people are more genetically positive than others. And I was going to go strongly the environment and culture route in terms of how you were brought up, because that has a huge, right? But now we're talking about, again, nature versus nurture here, right? You know, in terms of, you know, so I think I'm going to go, let's see, I work with people who just have like more like passive personalities, right? Or who just more like introverts, right? Or it's more shy and quiet or whatever. Okay. And then I'll meet their parents or whatever, or I find out that their parents are also, you know, that same type, right? Now that's behavior. It's behavior.
Because it's taught.
It's behavior. It's not thought, right? Yeah. Okay. But so that would be a behavior. However, then we take, let's say, the KKK as an example, and let's say their thought process in the household, right, is that they believe that these people should not be, you know, around for whatever, right? Like, okay, that's the thought process. Then their children, let's say, or whoever they have and who they're raising, then let's say take on that same thought process. That would be thought, right? So when we're talking about positive thinking, that's a thought. It's not really, you know. So positive thinking, you know, staying up and about, and like, you know, good things are going to happen, or this, or like da da da, and I'm going to stay motivated and stay positive and blah blah blah, and the whole entire nine, right? Okay, fine. That's something that can also come from, I believe, on a genetic level as well as environment. But I'm going to go higher percentage with environment.
I agree.
And less percentage with genetic. I think although I could be wrong, because, you know.
And this is not my non-professional opinion on this, but there are studies that have figured out that some habits or whatever that have been passed down, and they actually get built into the DNA. It's more like survival stuff, but it happens. But it happens over the course of many generations, you know. So there could be a whole family of just like this like positive thinking that has gotten passed down from like hundreds of years, you know what I'm saying? Maybe they just had a good life or whatever it is that just kind of consistently happened and just got built into their DNA. I'm not a scientist or doctor or anything like that, so I know, but
really
then
I get so focused on like, okay, but it's like, but they're also around. So like, if I was born right into a family who, let's say, both my parents were just like super positive, right? Then like I you know, it's like I was around it, like, so that's all I really.
But what would happen if, so say this is true, that hundreds of years passed down in DNA some positive thought process, right? And then at some point this kid gets born now in 2021 and he gets adopted by some like horrible family that just
this is gonna right.
Is that kid gonna
he's still be positive, or right.
You don't know, right?
Which is actually interesting, and I feel like that can go either or, because I've worked with many individuals who were adopted, and
their families were like
Yeah,
crappy and they still kind of.
well, this is the thing. The families were actually great. This is the reverse.
The reverse. Yeah.
The families were great, like really positive. And like when I say, let me be clear, like when I mean great, I don't, like I'm talking about like they were the healthiest they can be, like so no one's 100% here, but they were the healthiest they can be. They created as healthy of an environment as they possibly could. And this is not every case. I'm just saying, but their children who they adopted from like birth, many of them, right, did not have that same thought process. Right? So then it's like in that situation, right? Especially like you're adopted from birth.
Right.
Right?
There's no interaction.
Right, exactly. So then actually this is focused maybe a little bit on genetic, on the genetic.
Well, it
because
has to be,
right. Because in that situation, the environment's not doing anything for that person. But then if we consider the thought process, I also have to consider some mental health, things that may be there as well, right? So we don't know. There could be depression, bam, right? There could be, just tons of anxiety, bam. There could be
so many
things.
Chemical imbalances in people's brains that maybe make them think a certain way or whatever. Is that like genetic? Is that a DNA thing, or is that like just something that occurs randomly, or?
Well, so like one of the questions we ask, so we always get a family mental health history, right? So family mental health history is extremely important because if anyone in your family has bipolar is a big one, schizophrenia, addiction, alcoholism is a big one, depression, anxiety, stuff like that, right? So we heavily look into that.
So
as well.
that's a good point. So if that can be passed down, which all that is like chemicals and synapses happening in the brain or whatever, right? Then why can't that happen in the reverse as a positive thing, right? If we have no name besides like really good energy, positive person, like if there was like some scientific name like bipolar, or we could just say that person is like two different people sometimes, like, do you get what I'm saying?
No,
like,
say it again.
So there's a word for bipolar.
Yes.
Which is, I don't know, I guess I wouldn't say negative, but it's a mean when you say, all right, somebody has bipolar.
I think there are stigmas to it.
Right, there's stigmas.
So I wouldn't say it's negative, but there's stigmas to it.
So, but what's the opposite of bipolar?
Stable.
Is it, or is that the neutral area?
I'm only just saying because, with bipolar, we look at lots of instability and mood fluctuations, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, the opposite of that then would be someone
all right. Maybe I picked the wrong one.
More stability.
Maybe, let's think of, how about like depression, right?
Mm-hmm.
So depression is like on this end of the spectrum where everything is like heavy and not working out or whatever. The opposite would be somebody that is
super
very positive, right? So, but what's the name for that? There's depression, and then there's just positive. Super positive person. I mean, positive can be you use the word positive for many different things. It's very general.
You know what they use for that though? Like I feel like is this is interesting. I feel healthy.
No, like somebody.
No. But someone who has. I think so. Someone who has irrational thoughts. Okay. Mm-hmm. Someone who has depression, some hopelessness thoughts, some helplessness thoughts, some powerlessness thoughts. Right. Mm-hmm. Those can go into thought processes that can be very dark, very deep. It can hold people back from even actually doing things in their life, right? Mm-hmm. It can harm people, right? So what happens is then we use the word healthy, right? Because a healthy mindset would mean that you were opposite of that.
But isn't a healthy person that somebody that does feel depressed sometimes, but also can feel positive and uplifting, like a balance? I think, anyways, the word healthy to me is like somebody that has balance, right? But what I'm talking about is depression and then that other person that's like always positive or something. I don't know. Anyways, my whole point with this whole scenario
okay.
is
but
that
see, but now I can go down. So But this is the thing. We don't want to be to either end of the spectrum.
I understand that.
Right?
But when
I see what you're saying. So there's a name for this, which is the depression, but there's no name for the person that's like over
the
the
other side of the
top,
spectrum.
like over the top, happy, this, all the time. So I'll throw out some names that we would describe that person on a clinical level.
There's another layer to this, but go ahead.
So, yeah. So let's see. If someone was constantly happy, over the top, joyous, positive, all the time, blah, 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 blah. Some words that could be thrown out. I'm not saying this is by me, but I've heard.
You would probably think they were hiding
before.
something, right?
Right. So they're wearing a mask, right? So it's a defense mechanism. Maybe some hypomania. I wouldn't say full-blown mania, but hypomania. Maybe some, I would just kind of say, and then, just defense mechanisms and then hypomania. Because for the person that's constantly like this, everything's great, life is joyous, blah, 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 right? Which would be the total opposite of depression. It's like, I mean, I get it, right? Like, I understand. I love what you got going on here. But where's the right? Where's the balance?
Okay.
And I'm not saying to sit there and think negative shit, but now we got to create some kind of.
So spinning this back to what we were originally talking about is how the genetics and the DNA, right? You said that depression can be passed down genetically, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so then why can't that other thing be passed down genetically?
Yeah, that's what you're saying. But
it clearly can, I think. Now I think we resolved this.
No, but it can.
Has to, because if it's already been clinically proven.
But the other thing you're talking about is also not healthy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like the healthy would be like here. You know.
Right. Well, then that too should be able to be passed down as well.
But this is where no.
Why
but this is where we go though. Understand. For that to see, that's for that balanced state, that healthy state to be passed down.
They'd have to have a bunch of things like culture and family and
understand
everything.
Right, because now we're talking because there's typically, so in order to create a person, right, you have to there's two people that usually have to do that, right? Okay, so now there's one person's stuff, right, and another person's stuff, and not just their genetics, also now just their behaviors, right, and who they are, their personalities, blah blah blah, stuff like that. That's coming into the environment.
But hold on, is that true with depression?
Well, depression is. There's a genetic...
Okay, you're talking about... So it can only be extremes that get passed down, maybe?
No.
All right, so depression can be passed down whether the parents are depressed or not.
Oh, no, okay. So we get family history because we want to know if there's any history of it. So let's say I'm asking you in a psych social, right? And I'm like, is there any family history of depression? And you're like, well, my parents don't have it, but I think like my grandmother had it or something, or that. And then I'm like, okay.
Now we're getting back. All right, you're right. Like I was thinking, all right, genetically you're passing it down, but it's also within the household that you're growing up in.
Right.
So
it's
that's why the depression gets passed down, for the most part.
I mean, it's a mixture of things.
The mixture, yeah.
You know, it's a mixture of things.
It's not just like...
I don't think that there's...
Like, hold on. Like your great-grandfather, what if they were super depressed, but then nobody else in the family,
and then you.
Yeah. That can happen?
Yeah.
Oh, that can happen?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, then we're back to my theory again then. So then,
that can happen.
So then the other side can happen as well.
Yeah, that can happen.
And so
but then also I have to go into the environment, because now I'm like, okay, well, last person who had depression, like his like great grandfather was depressed, right, and had depression, but nobody else. Okay, now I'm like skirt to the genetics a little bit, and now I'm like, what's up with your environment? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because I may be like, all right, that's there, but it's not like so strong where I'm like solely focused on it. What's going on in your environment? And that most likely is like, yeah.
There's usually something. All right. Well, I think what we've resolved here is that it's mostly due to environment.
So just so that you guys who are watching know what the question was that we're talking about right now, because do you think that some people are more genetically positive than others? That was the question. And so that's what we've been kind of going back and forth on. I would love to hear what other people have to
Yeah.
have to say and think on that one too, because I actually really really liked that question. Still on positive thinking, right? So the other one says, there are some scholars out there, including a Dr. Martin Seligman, who believe that sometimes you need to be rather pessimistic to become more action oriented. How do you respond to this idea?
Yes, I would say sometimes. I mean, there's a level. I think, like you were saying before, balance is really the key. You have to be able to manage all the positive and the negative, right? If you go either deep end off of each side, it's unhealthy. But to be pessimistic, yes, I think what he's saying is like, say with business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't just be like, oh, everything's gonna be great, and then because then you might just like
Right.
sit back and be like, all right, we got it under
Right.
control, and then shit always happens
Yeah.
in business, you know. So you have to be aware that
Of the what ifs, or of the what could happen in the future.
Yeah, and
so
you have
always
to-
have to be.
you have to even kind of sometimes like play it out in your mind and pretend like, all right, what if this happens? Then what am I gonna do? So
Right.
you're prepared, right? But
Right.
you can't live in that world though.
Right. Yeah, I believe that one too, as well. But I think that's why he says that he sometimes, right?
Right.
So he
right.
believes that sometimes you need to be pessimistic, which I think is, yeah, I think that's accurate. In terms of business,
I mean, yeah. I mean, in terms of like life too, right? Like you know, say you got a family, a kid, you know. I mean, that's why everybody gets insurance, right?
what? Because everyone thinks they're going to die in a car
Because
accident, or
something
what?
bad could happen.
health insurance,
and if in
right,
case they get health insurance or whatever.
Well, this
right?
is coming from a guy that fights me,
my God,
literally
yeah.
fights me for making him get health insurance because he does not agree.
Haven't needed it for 20 years. Not that I haven't needed it, like things haven't happened, but like I just justify it in my mind of like, all right, I haven't been to the hospital in 10 years. So the amount of money that I would have spent on health insurance, and say I have to go in, say I break my arm or whatever the hell it is, all right, it cost me $1,000 or $2,000. That's way less than what I would have spent on health insurance over the course of 10 years. Like whatever, $400, $500 a month or whatever it is. So
This is where so basically, actually, in your situation, let's say with the health insurance, your positive thought process about most likely nothing really happening to you because you're healthy, everything, right? Your positive thought process has managed to keep you in this lane where you live life without health insurance. However, it's also prevented you from actually doing something that could possibly one day, right, save your life in the event that the finances are really, really high.
yes. I just, you know, I think I shy away from things that don't require personal responsibility, right? So, like, people think, oh, I'll just pay these people however much they want every month, and I can be frivolous and do whatever I want and eat cheeseburgers every day and fucking whatever. And if anything happens, well, I have this insurance, and you know, I don't have to worry about heart attacks or being obese or
But I
whatever.
don't think that's
like,
how people are thinking.
it's not how they actually would tell
Like
you,
on a conscious
but
level,
subconsciously,
on a
that's what's
conscious
going
level,
on.
yeah, I don't think people are like, oh, well, I'm not going to do whatever I want because I have this.
Yeah, and they don't have to actually think about how they're being healthy on a daily basis. They go to the doctors 3 times a year, and the doctor says, oh, you're fine. My dad's VA doctor tells him that he is perfectly healthy. When I can look at him and be like, hell fucking no. You eat steak every day. You drink. You know, whatever. Like, you don't exercise. To me, I'm like, all right, you're heading down this path where you're going to need that doctor. But, you know, I don't do that. Like, I every day I'm personally responsible for my health. and I take
I
vitamins.
would like your dad to go to a different doctor outside the VA.
But so wouldn't everybody. I mean, this to me, this is what
I'm not dissing the VA, guys.
I am. I am dissing the VA.
I'm just saying that
The VA doesn't give a shit.
I
don't think they give a shit.
I'm not really
people.
saying. I'm just saying I have some concerns and issues with the VA. Just some.
Yeah, I mean,
but I do think the VA has also done really positive, good things for some people. So,
I'm sure they have for like real like wounded soldiers and stuff. Like they get their legs blown off. They hook them up with like new legs and stuff like that type of shit. Yes, but for the guy that was in the military, fucking 40, 50 years ago or whatever, for like 5 years, and you know he did risk his life for doing whatever for that period of time, and then they're just like whatever, like you're fine. And after 70, they tell my dad like he doesn't have to get a colonoscopy anymore, even though the last colonoscopy he had, which was just like 6 months ago, they found polyps and shit, and they had to like get rid of them. So they just found them, and they're just like, well, the number is 70, so you don't have to get these examinations anymore. So in my dad's mind, he's
that's
just like,
what your dad's telling you.
My dad's mind, he's just like, oh, I'm fine. Everything.
That's what your dad's telling you, though.
Well, that's true too.
I don't know if that's accurate.
I think it is, though. I think it is. I think they do have time. They say that whatever, like, oh, you're not supposed to get the colonoscopy because it's you're older and like your intestines are weaker or some shit, so you can't take it.
I'm wondering if it has to do also with because they put you out, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that has something to do with it as well.
Who knows? But I mean, like, basically they just tell him he's healthy and he's not. But that's my whole point with all this is like, I mean, whatever. I'm not telling anybody to do anything. This is just what I do. I don't like wait for some doctor to be like, okay, now you're sick. Oh, now you're not sick. You're perfectly fine now. I'm like, how do I feel? Like the past yesterday, I was feeling a little bit off, right? So I did extra things to do something about it. Like I went and got airborne and pounded that. And then I drank a lot of fluids. I even got a Pedialyte. I went to the sauna and I stayed in there extra long, and I did some cardio, and then I just relaxed after that and just chilled out, you know, and then you know, we went to sleep. I had a good, decent sleep last night, and I feel better today. But maybe with the normal person that just has, you know, pays their insurance or whatever, they might not have been aware of themselves in that manner, you know, and you can't catch it. I don't know. I'm just kind of ranting right now because you're like reading or something.
No, you kind of lost me, and then I just like was reading this next question that I also actually want to talk about. Do you know anyone who practices positive thinking seriously? I like how they add seriously. And do you find it encouraging or irritating? So I want to actually focus on that. So when I first met you, I found it to be irritating.
Yeah.
Because for me, in my mind, I was like, and I still believe this way, where it's like, look, like it's cool to be positive, you know, like great, positive thinking can definitely help us out, change our perspective, blah, 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 get us motivated, wonderful. But at the same time, I also feel like there are certain realities or just facts in life and things that happen that like, okay, like it's okay to be upset and it's okay to be angry about something.
But I think
it's okay to not be so positive all the time.
I think you thought it was unrealistic at the time.
No, because what I'm saying is I felt like every time you were positive and not like even the least bit freaking like on some type of like just negative thing for a moment, I'm like, so he's like dismissing then like maybe feelings that could be there. So for example, mm-hmm. right? Let's say I get into a car accident, okay? My car gets totaled. Mm-hmm. Okay. Someone hit me. All right. In that moment, I feel like it is very valid, right, for anyone to be very just like upset about it. Your car gets totaled. Someone hit you. You're in a car accident. Something bad could have happened. You know, like, thank God you're okay. Obviously, it's a positive outcome, right? Mm-hmm. But like hey man, this sucks. Like, this is not something where it's like, yay, I got my car totaled. And then, no, this is like, I'm fucking so annoyed right now because XYZ. And I think that you're allowed to have that feeling because that is a natural feeling to have in that kind of circumstance. Now, do I think that it's okay to sit in it and then be in that place for like ever, right? Or constantly? No, that's not healthy.
Yeah,
so at
that's
some
that's the
point,
key.
right? At some point, I'm like, all right, at some point, you got to bring yourself out of this shit, like. But initially, I do believe it's okay. However, with you though, when I first met you, initially, you were not even allowing even like the negative, let's say, natural just reaction to something emotionally, and you went straight to logic and positive. And that's why I came at you when I said, I believe that you're using that or using that part of the brain a little too much and not allowing yourself to sit in the emotional sometimes, which is still valid with you today.
I was just going to ask you, do I still do that now?
Not way less than when I first met you. Like when I first met you, like my friends and I literally used to fucking crack up because we would talk about how you were like, oh my God, so there's a GIF or a meme, one of those of oh my God, what is his name? Of Pee Wee Herman on like a bike, and his legs are up on the bike, and he's like, bring, bring, yay, everything's great. Because Pee Wee Herman's so positive, right? He's just so nice and so positive, da da da. And he's like flying through the streets, just like no problems in the world. And we literally sent that gift to each other, and we were like, this is Joe. And we're cracking up because it was like, that's literally how you are. Which again, I'm like, okay, fine. But at the same time, I do believe that you have tendency of leading with that part of the brain, and it prevents you from just accessing the emotions sometimes. Which emotions are okay to have. It is okay to be angry and sad.
I agree. I just think I would much rather be that than overly like negative, like a lot of people are, just pessimistic about everything that's happening in the world. So for me, I just feel like it's like I'm balancing the world out maybe a little.
No, but when I first met you, you weren't. It was
I'm balancing the world out, not myself. And at the time,
the world. You're balancing the world out, not yourself.
If there's like so many people being pessimistic and fucking negative towards everything that's happening in the world, and then there's some people that are the opposite. Like the world also needs to be balanced as well as yourself, right?
So you're saying that you're working on balancing yourself now?
Myself and the world.
Okay.
I'm doing my part, my one little part. I'm not trying to save the world. I'm just adding to it. I'm one of those people. Like, there's probably millions of people like me, right? And those people balance the pessimistic, negative people out. There's layers. Once again, layers, right? Like, world, so you balance yourself out, and then like in my mind now at this point, and you were right with a lot of stuff, like where like I wasn't. It was just like kind of almost.
You were on this end of the spectrum.
Yeah, there was a lot of things that now I look back to. If I was more like pessimistic and just like I explained a little while ago, if I was that in like business opportunities and investments and stuff, I would probably be in a different place now, because I was just aware and cautious.
Right.
So
whereas before you were living Pee Wee Herman land world, and you just like,
and I still like that world. It's nice. So it doesn't everybody. Most people do. But it's hard for a lot of people to live there because of everything that's happening in the world. But like, I don't, in my world, I've always said this, like everything is good. We're good. We're like, that's all that really matters. And that comes off as like a selfish way of speaking or whatever. But like, it's how everybody thinks. I just say it. Like everybody only cares about their families, themselves, their close friends, and then they pretend to care about everybody else because that's what culture demands of you, right?
I don't think that's necessarily always.
Well, listen, all right, there is a balance there too. You're right.
Yeah,
it's like people care, but most people feel helpless with it, as you should. because no one person can go out and save the world, which is what I think of this cancel culture is trying to do, but it's not doing it, right? Because it's impossible. So, I don't know where I was going with that, but I just don't think it's realistic to really sit here and be like, I can't have a conversation with anybody that would just be like, yes, I'm going to go out there and save the world. Everybody's going to do this, and this is how it should be, and this is how it like, you can have your opinions and thoughts and whatever, but like, like, I know a utopia world, right? I can explain it right here, and it'll probably take like 3 hours on this podcast. But like, I don't expect that to actually happen exactly the way that I'm doing it. I can do it in my life to the best of my abilities, and then hopefully you take on these traits and soul and the family and stuff. And for me, that's good enough. And hopefully maybe somebody else will see our family doing whatever, and then they'll implement it into their world or whatever, and then hopefully it spreads out. But really, just
I mean, do you really want to live in a world where everyone is only super positive?
Not super positive, but like open-minded. Like open-minded and able to like have communication and think about things. That would be a great world. We can all disagree on all kinds of things, but no need to like be angry and hate on people and dismiss and not talk and say fuck you. I don't even want to hear what you have to say. That's crazy to me.
Right. So what we're saying is, this goes back to, just to be clear, it's okay to feel your feeling, meaning it's okay to feel angry if you are angry at that moment. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel ashamed or whatever it is. Those are your feelings. You're entitled to them. However, if you're holding on to those feelings and allowing those feelings to dictate your behaviors, right, moving forward, then now we have an issue.
Right. And I think with me, I think it's like, I do feel those feelings. I get past them a lot faster than a lot of other people, maybe. Like, it's like, all right, that fucking just sucked right now. Fuck, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Literally deal with it for like 5 minutes, and then I'm like, all right, well, nothing I could do now. Let's keep it moving. What do I need to do to get out of this, or whatever it is, right? And then you just start building off of that first step of positivity. What do we need to do? How do we resolve this, or whatever? But yeah.
So
I don't know if did we like resolve anything or answer anything with that? Did that? What was the original question again?
The question was, do you know anyone who practices positive thinking seriously, and do you find it encouraging or irritating? So I started off by using you as an example, because I was like, when I first met you, I was irritated by it. I was like, oh my God, this guy, because as a clinician in my mind, I'm like, it's okay to just like be angry for a moment. Like, you don't have to be all the way this extreme with it. And you were, like you really were. Thank goodness now I feel like you became more balanced when we had Soul.
Yeah. Why?
That's actually when it happened. Because prior to Soul, it was so difficult for you just to allow yourself to sit in any kind of like feeling that was just negative or this or sad. Like, you never wanted to do that. And so quickly you would take yourself out of it, which I get, but at the same time, in my mind, I would also question if you were actually really processing the initial unpleasant feeling fully, or, and it was when we had Soul, that was actually the first time that I actually saw someone who I felt was just way more authentic with himself. Like, when Soul went to the NICU, our daughter went to the NICU, and you were, I saw you were like so concerned, so worried, like, we both had tears in our eyes. It was a devastating moment. And I was like, okay, here we go, Joe. Yeah. A moment where it's true shit going on right now. It's real stuff. And it's okay to fucking be scared, and it's okay for it to suck.
That's a good point of what like kids can do, right? Like, they kind of force you to be in that moment. Like, if the kid is sick or something's going on with them, like, nobody else is going to do anything. It's like you or nobody, right? So then you're forced to like deal with that. Like, prior to that, I guess I could just be like, whatever, I'll just not do this, or just like not or pay somebody to do that thing that I hate doing or something like that.
Right.
And yeah, I guess that's.
So I am receiving just some information that I would love to be able to talk about. But because it seems like a lot of stuff, but I need to like listen because it's audio, so I haven't been able to. And we're going to talk about this on this podcast right now because this. So we're transitioning.
Switching gears.
Yeah, we're switching gears completely. I know we always go all over the place, but we're switching gears, and we're going back to. Unfortunately, this whole vaccination thing, just because I find this to be really interesting. So, and this is something that I guess we could also implement positive thinking with, I guess.
Okay.
We
can implement positive thinking with anything.
Yeah. So we'll try and do that. Okay. So yesterday, right? I think it was yesterday, a couple of days ago, whatever, we all know, I mean, we all, if anyone's been on Instagram or watching the news or on Facebook or whatever, has friends, then you know that some states have been requiring the vaccine in order to get into, health clubs, fitness places, restaurants, movie theaters, etc. New York is one of those places. I think San Francisco is another one, and there's, I'm sure, tons of others who are on that same path. So, in a conversation with a person, come to find out that this person is actually losing their job. So this person works for a hospital, and the position of this person for the hospital is not even a clinical position, meaning like they're not in the hospital working with patients. It's actually a stay-at-home position. Excuse me. And this person is, excuse me. This person is saying that if they do not get the vaccine come October, I think 30th, then they will be let go from the position. So the hospitals are now requiring the vaccine. Now, we knew that. I get it. What I'm shocked about, though, is it's a stay-at-home position.
Yeah.
I think, that's what I want to touch on.
Well, this is just getting out of control.
Stay-at-home position, and this person is refusing to get the vaccines, as this person has all of their right to do so, okay? Yet is being let go from the job, which is a stay-at-home position, because they won't get the vaccine.
In my opinion, I think that there is two avenues here. There's the health concerns for not getting this vaccine, and then there's this other thing that nobody talks about, especially in instances like this, where it's like, at what point does it seem as though they don't care about health anymore, and it's more about just control and making sure people do a certain thing, such as take this vaccine, right? I think that's where we're kind of at right now, especially with this, right? So they're firing, or they're not firing. They're saying
so they're letting go, right? So in the event that you don't comply with the requirement and get the vaccine by October 31st, then you are unemployed and you will no longer have a job there.
How are they? First off, how are they even firing them on these grounds? I'm sure within the agreement or contract that they have, which if she was hired prior to COVID, maybe she was hired after COVID or whatever, so maybe they changed the contract. But prior to that, I'm sure there's no if you refuse to get a vaccine, you lose your job. So these people could probably
where was
sue.
That? These people can most likely sue and really get into the wording, of really how they put these contracts.
Right. So I'm sure a lot of especially the hospitals, have changed up all their
wording for sure.
Agreements and stuff.
So, but there are several pieces to this. So it's not even so. The first piece is that if you don't get the vaccine by October 31st or whatever, then you are unemployed and will no longer have a job there. The second part of it is that the people who are in HR, who it's their job to, hire people and find people, right, and have interviews and have people come into the hospital as a position or whatever. They are now having to fire the individuals who've been, let's say, employed for the hospital even before COVID and during COVID, right?
Who won't get vaccinated.
Who will not get vaccinated. These are also nurses, guys. This is everyone who won't get vaccinated. They're having to fire them and then outsource and hire nurses and staff from other agencies who are traveling nurses who also still may not be vaccinated. So still, some of them are unvaccinated.
And they're not obligated to through their
and they're not obligated to get vaccinated, right,
the
because they
agency.
work for a different agency. So basically, it's a whole liability thing. So the hospital kind of sees it as, oh, okay, well, if we outsource and we get them from another company and they have a contract on their own,
then that's their deal.
Then that's their deal, not ours. But at the end of the day, we still need staff.
But they
so
don't
do whatever you got to do.
But it's proving that they don't give a shit about the patients.
That would be proven, right?
Because if they really cared about the patients, they wouldn't want anybody in the hospital
who's
that's
not
unvaccinated.
vaccinated.
So this is the point where I'm talking about, like,
so this is happening.
Do you feel it's like it shifts over from health concerns to control, tell you what to do? I feel like this is a great example of that.
Well, let's go even more, right? Then there's a kickback and a quota. So now the hospitals.
I mean, I don't know any. I haven't looked into this.
Yeah, I haven't looked into this. So what we're telling you guys right now is solely based on individuals who are currently working for hospitals, and I'm going to leave those names blank, who are giving us this information as we speak because they are going through it right now. So this is where this is coming from, okay? So I haven't looked into it, I haven't researched, so it's just kind of, I guess, hearsay or whatever from someone,
but
right?
What they said was...
So, right, but what they said was that there is a quota. So hospitals that get a certain amount or have a certain number of people who are vaccinated will get more assistance or more funding, let's say, from the government. So the hospital in particular that we're talking about is a nonprofit, but, still, like, even though they've already been funded, right, by the government because they're nonprofit, they're still getting, just even more.
Well, it's just like the... what was it before? They were getting, for every person that had COVID in your hospital, say you in the hospital or whatever, you would get, it was like $35,000 or something for every...
It was something, but then that was disputed and people were like, that's not true, blah, 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 stuff like that.
It was true.
I don't know if it was true or not.
No, it was.
Okay, I'm just saying for me.
Oh.
I don't know if it was true or not, but I do know that this person who I'm speaking to about this, in my mind, is a reliable source. And so when I hear something like this, I go, well, shit, that would make that true then, because if they're doing this, right, then that's true.
No, that was 100% true. There was a senator from Minnesota who actually broke that because he's also a physician. I forget his name was Jensen or something like that. I forget his last name, but yeah, he brought out all the contracts and documents and was like, okay, for every patient that has COVID, the hospital gets X amount of dollars. And anyways, so I wouldn't be surprised if this was true.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. So now that's even another, right, form of control. Then let's go to the other level. The other level was also, so the individuals who are being let go, who are being fired from the position, or also, yeah, I think being fired, she said, right? They're asking HR if they will get paid out from their life insurance.
Oh yeah. So if they say the individual that doesn't want to get vaccinated, right? They're saying, okay, by October 31st, if you're not vaccinated, then you're fired. So if this individual chose to get vaccinated, but they had some adverse reactions to the vaccine, because this particular individual is actually saying that she did have adverse reactions to the flu vaccine.
That was required also.
This is before, and she took it, and she was in the hospital for several weeks or whatever, right? So now she's like, well, what if I have adverse reactions? Is my insurance, say something happens, say I die from COVID, is my insurance company going to pay out? No, they're not. Because none of these insurance companies want to pay out for COVID right now. You can look in the contracts. It's not going to say anything about that. So they're not going to pay out. So basically, it's this very serious risk for some people.
Very serious. Who really don't want to get the vaccine. Right. Then I also want to go a little more with this, because some of these people, you guys, who also do not want to get vaccinated, who have been asking this question to HR, are individuals who are in positions that are paying $10 an hour, $12 an hour, right? So now you're telling me that if in the event that something happens to me and I have an adverse reaction because I got something that I didn't want to get injected into my body, you're telling me that not only will I no longer be employed, but now I'm not getting anything paid out for my life insurance.
Right.
Like what?
All for like a $12 an hour job. Like, and we're not talking about the nurses here. At this point, what we're talking about is like the people that transport.
The cooks, transporters.
Yeah.
I mean, anything. You have a lot of staff when it comes to a hospital. So this goes all the way around. The nurses are killing it right now. They're the ones who are, raking in, because especially the travel nurses, really.
And all you got to do is get that vaccine. You can make this money.
No, for the travel nurses, don't even need to be vaccinated.
Oh, right. So travel nurses where it's at, I guess.
So anyway, yeah, I just wanted to.
But anyway, to me, it clearly represents that these hospitals don't care about patients, because they clearly don't really care that everybody's vaccinated in the hospital. They only care whether it looks like they...
And I don't know if every hospital's doing this. I have no idea. I'm only focusing on one hospital right now because that's where this person works. But, I mean, even the fact that this one hospital is doing that, for me, I'm like, damn, like, that's like really like... You mean to tell me that you're going to fire people who were employed the whole time during COVID just because they won't get vaccinated, and then hire people who are traveling nurses who aren't vaccinated just solely because it prevents liability on your end in any way, shape, or form, but fuck it, who cares?
Who cares?
Still come into the hospital.
Yeah, bring in the COVID.
Because for me, firing people who are not going to get the vaccine for COVID, who work in a hospital, would solely be, in my mind, because you are trying to protect anybody else in the hospital, especially patients, let's say, who are vulnerable, who you don't want to get COVID.
All right, well, why are they...
That would be in my mind, but yet that's not the case, because they're hiring people...
Right.
Who are also not vaccinated. So therefore that blows that out.
And then on top of that, why are they requiring that people that work from home, that never ever go to the hospital, be vaccinated?
That's another thing. I'm very like...
That's a control
thing. Well, that was,
right
that to me was actually a big, like... And that's because when I brought that to your attention and I said, and she's working from home, you were like, well, that's a control thing, because that makes no sense, which it doesn't make any sense, you guys. Like,
so why doesn't anybody go to that side of things? Control.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say those words exactly, but I do find it very, very concerning and very confusing, I'll say, as someone listening to this going, okay, wait, because now it's contradicting. Now it makes no sense, right? This position does not require this person to go into the hospital in any way, shape, or form, not even for a meeting. Yet, I have to get the vaccine by this date or I'm unemployed, but I'm not in the hospital. I have no contact with any other individual besides my kids and whoever I live with in my house. So that, to me, doesn't make any sense.
Why? This will probably be the last thing because we got to get going here, but this is a question to you. Why do you feel as though people shy away from talking about this clear, I don't know if you'd call it a fact, but clearly there is something beyond caring about people's health? Why?
No one's going to talk about this.
Why not?
I can guarantee you, if this individual who I spoke to took this to the news,
they're not going to talk about it.
No way would they talk about it.
Why?
Well, they would make it would make a lot of shit look bad. And this whole COVID thing it would blow this whole COVID thing.
Oh, so you're saying the media and these big corporations that are requiring COVID vaccines are in cahoots? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that.
Oh, well, what are you saying?
I'm just saying that it wouldn't be a good look, obviously, for it to
Look for who? Media is supposed to be indifferent, right?
Well, it wouldn't be a good look. It just, how I see things, it wouldn't be a good look for the media, nor would it be a good look for the government, nor would it be a look good for some.
I'm clearly playing devil's advocate.
I know
here,
you are. I'm just saying it just wouldn't be a good look.
Like, think about this, people. Think about it. Why? Ask why. It doesn't make any sense. When it doesn't make any sense, don't just be like, oh, they're just idiots. They don't know.
Right.
No. There's something happening here, and there's reasons for this. Why would a hospital, a full-blown hospital, require these things? Because it's in the name of caring for people and protecting people, right, from this horrible virus. Then why do they not care that a traveling nurse that works for a different agency is contracted, comes into the hospital, and they don't care whether they're vaccinated or not? They only care about their own people, so it looks like they care. Right? If it's somebody else's agency, they don't have to. They can be like, well, that's their agency. We just hired nurses. We thought that they were vaccinated. I guess they weren't. That's on them, though. You know, that's all they care about, the look. They don't actually care about protecting you from something that, you know, that's a whole other story. But, you know, if we're on the page of people caring and wanting to protect, this doesn't sound like that.
Well, it just doesn't make any sense. It's just opposite of that. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So, okay.
So we'll end on that.
Yeah.
Didn't end very positive.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let's restructure this. Positive thinking to this situation. Come on, Aaliyah. This is what you do for a living.
All right. Here's the positive thought, right? The people within this particular hospital that we're talking about are compartmentalized. One group thinks like, okay, yeah, we can't hire this. It's probably a top-down thing where they're ordered. Everybody has to be vaccinated, but you know, other agencies or whatever, and they're just like, there's probably people within the hospital, obviously, that are like, what is going on here? I'm forced to fire this person and hire that person?
Totally.
But they're just doing their job, right? So it's not really like, done. I don't want to get fired,
right?
So,
it's domino effect.
So I mean, this is still negative, but it's like the positive part of it is
it's the only way. It's the only positive way of thinking in terms of looking at it as it's not necessarily the hospital in terms of these like the.
Well, there's somebody higher up that's making it happen.
There's someone higher up.
But the people within the hospital that are firing, that are having
to fire are not.
They're not
responsible.
Yeah, they're just like. But at the same time, if they're not speaking up, they kind of are a little bit.
Actually, I have a great positive. The positive is this: I think that using your voice and standing up for what you believe to be true and what you believe in is actually a great tool to have for anyone. Now, you know, sometimes people believe something different than we believe, and they're going to fight for that. But that's okay. You know, I mean, that's what they believe, and they're fighting for it, and they're standing up for it. You know, because every individual and human being has a right to do so. So these individuals, let's say, who are being let go in the event that they don't take the vaccine. I mean, the fact that they're standing their ground and that they're, you know, using their voices, you know, and that they're saying, no, I'm not going to do this. This is like really like not right. I think that that's actually really great and shows a lot of like strength, to be quite honest, and a lot of just like fearlessness.
It is good. So
a lot of fearlessness. Now, with that though, I also would like to hope that that could also lead them in a better outcome, in a better situation, right? Maybe it's their path. And maybe after this, they'll find a better situation, right? Where they don't have to be controlled, or they won't have, right?
Yeah.
That's the hope, you know?
Right. And I think, like, you know, looking at So I know there's a lot on the Instagram and Facebook or whatever of like these meetings with nurses going to the state house and voicing these exact concerns, right? And just don't look at them like they're crazy people and they should just get the vaccine. Just get the vaccine and shut up. That is a ridiculous way to look at this situation. You should look at it that corporations and large companies and hospitals or whatever are putting these people in positions where they either have to risk something that they don't want to do because of whatever reason, and it shouldn't matter to you. They're risking what they believe is right, and you should support them whether you believe in the vaccine or you don't believe in it. Like, you should support them because they're standing up and being brave and speaking up. That's what America stands for.
I wouldn't say they should. I would
should
say
support
that
their voice to voice their opinions.
I wouldn't say they should support. The word "should" bothers me, so I wouldn't say that. But I would say, being able to hold your belief, right? So I have a belief, right? Being able to use my voice and staying around on that belief. Okay, great, wonderful. Healthy, positive. All right. Now, somebody else has an opposite belief, right? I don't agree with it. But you know what? I think it's really cool that they're still able to, use their voice in a assertive and like healthy, non-aggressive way. Okay, I'm saying here. Like, I'm talking just like regular, like, hey, look, I respect my own beliefs and I'm going to respect you. And that's how we're going to be. And, I don't agree and that's fine. But I think it's great that you're doing you, because that's what everybody, I think everybody having their own voice is very, very important.
But that's like the opposite of cancel culture that's happening right now. They just want to shut you up.
This cancel culture is
that's
a whole other conversation.
Yeah, cancel culture is the opposite of what it is to be an American and freedom of speech.
It's interesting.
Like, I don't even understand why people are okay with it. It's crazy. Unless you want to live in China, I guess. I don't know.
Justin Bieber's not okay with it.
Good.
That was a lyric in his song.
Nobody that has an opinion should be okay with it. Any opinion.
This word "should" is driving me nuts. We got to end. The word "should" drives me nuts.
I think
you should do this.
The last thing I'll say is, you're right. I don't want to tell anybody what to do, but there comes a point in time in history, or even in just like in your life or whatever, where you have to make decisions, right? It's like there comes a point where it has to be black and white, right? Or you're just like living in this middle ground for the rest of your life and like hoping nothing touches you in the middle, and I don't have to actually make a decision anywhere. I just pretend I like this group. Oh no, now this is the trendy thing. Okay, I'll do that. There comes a time where you're going to make a decision, whether it's like when somebody comes into your house and like starts choking you, like, all right, you got to make a decision. I got to stab this guy in the throat or fucking die. I don't say we're there, but that was an extreme example. But like, there comes a point, everybody has their line. A lot of people's line, if they actually believe in the Constitution, is freedom of speech. So we're touching on a lot of people's lines right now, and that's a tough line that we fought. That's how America became America. We fought a whole country on this, But we'll get into other things in the next one. I go into these rants, and then I could tell Aaliyah's not even listening to me.
I'm like, all right, guys, thank you so much for. Thank you for listening to A Convenient Truth.
Yep. And we will see you next week.
See you next time. Positivity.
Still didn't
stay positive as much as you can, but in a healthy way.